Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back again for another episode of the Swaggy Sports Podcast. We are going into week 6 of the NFL season, and as you guys can see on our nicely displayed whiteboard, shout out to Zoom for the application. Tonight we're gonna bring you guys the inaugural Swaggy Sports Podcast all 32 tier list, where the three of us, myself and Shane 1 and Shane 2, glad to have you guys on here tonight. We are going to dissect each team and place them in our nicely displayed tiers. As you can see all 32 teams sitting respectively in their divisions. Let me run down basically a little bit of context between each tier so the viewers at home can understand where we placed which team and why. Starting off with the Swaggy certified 1As. This is the top tier, the cream of the crop, the teams that are truthfully clear-cut title contenders through the first 5 weeks, and I see them also as potential first seed candidates to get that first round bye in the playoffs. The Swaggy certified 1As, top dogs. Moving down, we have the flirting with the top tier, where these are teams that look solidified to take care of their respective division. If a Swaggy certified 1A would take that crown for the division, these teams are right behind them, basically waiting for the opportunity to strike and take lead of their division. If not, we'll see them in the wild card without a doubt, flirting with the top tiers. Moving down, we have the barely in the mix tier. Barely in the mix, these are the squads that are roughly contending for a wild card spot. Realistically, those bottom two non-divisional winner spots. If these teams that are barely in the mix, they're take care, they're capable of staying afloat. We could possibly see them fighting for a spot in the dance come the back end of the season. The barely in the mix tier. Moving down, second to last, this is the panic mode tier right here. I basically saw these as teams that are 1 or 2 losses away from hitting the big red evac button. You feel me? Like, things have not really gone as planned through the first 5, and with a couple more malfunctions at the headship, it'll be time to take evasive action. These are the panic mode teams. We've seen a couple of those within these first 5. And the last tier, smell you laters. Basically self-explanatory there. You know who you are out there. Through 5 games, these teams have been pretty much rock bottom, all things going left, and like from the looks of it, probably will stay at the bottom. As you all know, we're only going into week 6, so a lot of this stuff can change. But as of right now, we're gonna give you guys our Swaggy Sports Podcast all 32 tier list, and we're gonna start off with Mr. Shaner. Thank you for coming in tonight. Talk to us. What's your tier list looking like, sir?
Absolutely. So you want me to throw them in or how you want me to do this?
You can throw them in if you want to give a little bit of chop up on each team as you place them in, you can, or you can
Yeah.
just drag them all in and then give a quick summary, however you want to dissect her.
Yeah, I'll go through the teams, I'll put them in. I think Swaggy certified 1As. There's 3 teams you can definitely throw in there that are pretty self-explanatory. We got the Bills. They're hot right now. The Bills are the Bills. Don't need to explain that. We got Eagles, only undefeated team in the league right now. We're gonna put them up there. Then we got, where are they? We're gonna throw the Chiefs in there. Chiefs 4-1. I saw some crazy stat. It was like quarterbacks in the league, every quarterback except for Patrick Mahomes has like a 15% chance of winning down 10 in a game. And
Mm.
Mahomes has like a positive record. He has like a plus 50% chance to win. So Chiefs are obviously just never out of any game.
Right. That's crazy.
I have two more that some people might not be happy about, but for me, I'm throwing the 49ers in there. I think
Okay.
that right now
Okay.
they have the number one defense in the league. I think they win that division based right now. I know their defense is suffering a lot of injuries, but it's interesting too. They're 3-1 with Jimmy G as the starter.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly that offense is doing good things, but their defense, they're just not going to let them ever be out of a game.
Right.
So I like the 49ers there. And then I'm going to go with I don't think the NFC East is as open as people think. I'm going to put what I believe to be the second best defense in the league in there. I'm going to throw the Cowboys in there.
Okay.
Cooper Rush 4-0 as a starter, which I don't think anyone would have ever expected. That's crazy. They're going to get Dak Prescott back. They just got Michael Gallup back. He had that crazy catch on the sideline this weekend. I think that offense figures it out. Pollard and Zeke, kind of an enigma right now. Who's the better back?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, good at different things, but I think the combination between the two of them works. And another team where they could easily just rely on their defense to get them through the season. So I'm gonna put the Cowboys there. Those are my Swaggy certified 1As if anyone else wants to chime in.
Shane, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah. I think those are aggressive. 49ers and Cowboys are very aggressive A or 1As. I mean, those first three certified contenders. I don't think those other two you can necessarily through 6 weeks, you can't, or through 5 weeks, excuse me, you can't put them as certified quite yet, but they are really good. I think they're flirting with the top tier. So I would move down the 49ers and the Cowboys. But I like those takes. They both have great defenses. You know, they're going to be in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff time, defense wins championships. So, you know, it comes down to a NFC title. You might have the Cowboys shutting down Jalen Hurts going to the Super Bowl or something like that. So, you know, you always can rely on that defense to fall back on. So I don't
Right.
hate that. But right now you can't, I don't think, certify them.
No, I hear you with that. I would have to agree as well. I personally put the 49ers and Cowboys as top teams in my flirting with the top tier, but I do hear that argument 100%. Um, the 49ers are always a team that is in that back end coming dance time. Their defense is playing lights out. They're always in the mix, no doubt about it. Shane, just keep going on with yours, Shaner, and then Shane can pick off the ones that kind of sweep out. You can finish out your tiers.
All right, cool. I'll put these back then. I'll let you guys change it when that time comes. All right, flirting with the top tiers. I took this a different way. I think that some of these teams, their record doesn't necessarily show how competitive they can be. So there might be a little bit of surprises there. I feel like the first few I'll throw in there are pretty obvious. We'll go Ravens. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Only going into last week, I don't know what it is now, but 2-2, it only trailed 14 seconds in
Yeah.
games out of all four games. Now 3-2. Their defense, those additions they had, they look good. JPP was making an impact right away. Defense looked better. Their secondary, I liked what they were doing scheme wise with clouding and then rolling over to Jamar Chase. Obviously, no T. Higgins impacts that as well, but I thought they played the Bengals really well. And then Justin Tucker, you're never out of a game with Justin Tucker. I mean, just casually kicks 60-yard field goals. So that's crazy. This team, I believe, will win their division very easily. I'm going to put the Bucks in there. Another good defense. I still think the best is yet to come for their offense. I think they'll figure it out. Cardinals, I'm going to put in here solely because of they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back week 7. I think that's going to completely change the dynamic of their offense. Obviously, Hollywood Brown's off to a great start already. Their defense surprised me too. They really honestly should have won that Eagles game. Miscommunication between Kyler and the coaching staff spiking it
Mm-hmm.
on third down. So, I mean, they're another team that could easily maybe overtake the 49ers for that division. I'm gonna throw the Browns in there. Now the Browns are 2-3, but they're eventually going to get Deshaun Watson back. And Jacoby Brissett has not done a bad job at all of being a game manager, putting them in situations to win. They're another team that has lost a few games by just a field goal or a missed field goal, and they honestly easily could be 5-0 right now, which is crazy without their starting quarterback. This team will probably win their division. I'm going to put the Vikings in there. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers just don't seem to be on the same page right now. The Vikings are 4-1. Obviously, Justin Jefferson has a chance to be the offensive player of the year. He's just a monster. And I think the Vikings are good. I was reading that they're going to put a 50-50 split moving forward between Madison and Dalvin Cook, and I think that opens up a lot too for their offense.
Interesting.
Solid defense, doesn't really blow you away, but I mean they could do good things.
Yeah.
Who else do I got in here? Next, I got the surprise to me, probably the biggest surprise. I got the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah. I
They're
got him in there too.
4-1 right now. I was just looking around Twitter and obviously NFL and other sources, and they were talking about how they've never seen a team buy in as much as the Giants to a first-year head coach with not very good circumstances either. You think about the injuries that they have right now. Their top 3 receivers haven't even really played. Saquon's having a monster year, probably going to be the comeback player of the year, maybe even the offensive player of the year. And they're just winning games. So I got them in there. And then this one's going to be a real surprise to everyone, but I have the Raiders in here as well. Raiders 1-4, but if you look at
talk to me.
If you look at their schedule, so they have a bye week coming up this week. But if you look at their schedule, their next 6 games are the Texans, the Saints, the Jaguars, the Colts, the Broncos, and the Seahawks. So I easily could see them ripping off 6 games there and sitting at 7-4, maybe being second in that division. Chiefs will probably win it at this point. I don't think they blow the division lead they have, but
yeah,
I could absolutely see the Raiders still finding a way to sneak in to that wild card. And in other situation, like they easily could have beaten the Chiefs, just a blown up play at the end where Renfro and Adams run into each other. Adams, the play before, gets called with that no catch.
Yeah.
I mean, they're another team that their record could be a lot different. They just got to find a way to win games.
Yeah.
And that's what I got for flirting with top tiers.
Heard you. Keep on going. Talk to us. Keep talking. Barely in the mix. Let's see what you got there.
All right, let me get you.
That Raiders one did surprise me though. But when you do mention the rest of their schedule how the rest of their schedule's looking, that's not really a hot take because they could go straight. They could win all those games realistically. So I hear you. Keep talking to us.
All right, so I'm gonna go barely in the mix here. Teams that could maybe get a wild card, but I'm not really sure if they will. All right, first one, I'm going to put the Jaguars. I think that they were definitely a surprise team, but I don't think that that's a tough division by any means.
Yeah.
Probably one of the weakest divisions in football right now. I'd say the front runner, in my opinion, is the Titans, who I'm going to put in there as well. I like the Titans winning that, but the Jags easily could win it as well. So I think between those two teams, if you win the division, you're in. So one of those two teams will get it. If not, one of those other teams could maybe get a wild card spot. I missed with flirting with the top tiers. I missed the Bengals. I'm going to put the Bengals in there. And I think that the Bengals, pretty self-explanatory. They have a good offense. I think the best is yet to come for the Bengals. They're going to figure it out. Their O-line is improving. It's a newer O-line. Their defense has been pretty solid. They're in a similar boat where just they start off so slow, and then the second half they play well and they're in position to win games. But similar to the Raiders, they just need to figure it out.
Mhm.
and start winning games. Barely in the mix, I'm gonna put the Chargers in here. They were a tough one for me. I felt like they were kind of in between, barely in the mix and flirting with top tiers.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing for them is just injuries right now. I know Keenan Allen's going to be back this week, but I think that's a very tough division. I think the Raiders are going to come on strong. I think the Chiefs win that division. Chargers got to prove something to me. We'll see how Keenan Allen looks. Hamstring is a tough injury because easily aggravated again. But obviously Herbert's a great quarterback, and that defense when healthy is going to be solid. But they got to prove it to me. And that's a team I was pretty high on. But I think they're kind of the one team that's really flirting with top tiers and barely in the mix. Next team I'm going to put in here is the Jets, which I don't think anyone would be saying in the beginning of the year. 3-2 right now. I think they look. It's crazy to say, but they look like a good football team. They're definitely not the
Yeah.
Jets of old. They're a new team. I think they have a lot of potential. I don't think that they have a chance to win that division though because of the Bills, but they could maybe sneak in a last wild card spot or something like that if they keep rolling.
Mm.
And then I'm gonna go one more team here. Kind of a surprise team to us all as well. I'm gonna put the Seahawks in here. I'm surprised if he hasn't been drug tested yet, but Geno Smith, I would love to see what his offseason program looked like because he is a completely different quarterback than we've seen in his career before. And I don't know. I don't know that like that they were talking about how he wouldn't be able to get DK Metcalf involved, Tyler Lockett involved, but I mean, I think he's in his 10th or 11th year. He's looking like a dual threat out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He was making plays where he was rolling out, throwing across his body, opening up his hips, like making
Yeah.
unreal throws in those games. And that's another one where I'd put them barely in the mix because you really don't know what they're
Right.
capable of. I think the only downfall they have right now is they have arguably the worst defense in the league. So they got to figure that out. And then panic mode, I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are in panic mode right now. They need to figure it out. Matt Stafford, all of last year, didn't throw an interception in the fourth quarter in the red zone. I think this year he has 5 already. Like they don't look like they could make any comeback whatsoever. He only throws to Cooper Kupp, and if he doesn't throw to Cooper Kupp, maybe he'll throw to Tyler Higbee. Cam Akers looks like a shell of what he did in the playoffs last year. I think their only real chance is if they maybe sign OBJ, open up that offense. But for the Rams, I think it's panic mode. I don't think it's looking good right now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back and I'm actually gonna throw this team in barely in the mix. The Pats. The Pats are the Patriots are the Patriots. I don't think anyone can really say the Patriots are going to win anything, but at the same time, you can't say they're going to lose anything. Like they are the one team that they could have a terrible season and still somehow end up as that last seed in the wild card, just based off of Bill Belichick. Their defense looks really good. They pitched a shutout against the number 1 offense in the league, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And they said recently that they're not ruling out that Bailey Zappi will take over when Mac Jones is healthy. I think it's good to have a little QB competition there. Obviously, their schedule is going to be tough, but I see them being a team that is over 500, so they'll have a chance to me. Back to panic mode though. I'm going to throw the Dolphins in here, and this was my team that I predicted to win that division. Everything looked good until Tua was not handled the way he should have been and had scrambled eggs for brains. And I mean, they're just right now, like injuries are killing them. I mean,
Yeah.
they were playing the Jets with like their 3rd string team. It just didn't look good. And I think that they're in panic mode right now because if they don't right that ship, like they could easily fall out of the playoffs. I expect them to be in the playoffs 100%. They have the weaponry to do it, but I mean, playing your third string quarterback and even Teddy Bridgewater, like Teddy Bridgewater is a great backup, but I think this proves that they need Tua if they want to make the playoffs. So I'm
Mhm.
going to put them in there. Another one, big time panic mode for the Broncos right now. Obviously, Russell Wilson comes out with that lat injury. You wonder if they're just now saying that because of the lack of success they're having. But I mean, you saw KJ Hamler after that Thursday night game wide open on that route, throws his helmet out of frustration. It seems like Russ really only wants to look towards Cortland Sutton. They had the injury to Javonte Williams. They have a solid defense, but I mean, their offense is just predictable. And like you can't be not scoring a single touchdown in a game with Russell Wilson as your quarterback and then
Facts.
like also Nathaniel Hackett coaching, like why they threw that pass in the end zone when they're up 12-9,
Yeah.
like for a turnover, and Matt Ryan goes and leads them down the field to tie the game. Like that's just bad play calling. So I think Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson definitely need to figure it out. If not, like they have no chance of making the playoffs to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think they're the worst team in that division. And then I'm gonna throw the Packers in there as well. And my reason for that is it just seems like Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he doesn't want to be there, or I'm not suggesting that by any means, but it just seems like a huge disconnect between Aaron Rodgers and his receivers and the rest of the team. And like it's the Packers. Like he won MVPs. Like they should not be blowing games
Mm-hmm.
that they're winning to the Giants. They shouldn't be going into overtime against a third string quarterback in his first game ever against Bailey Zappi. Like this is a team that I think the Lions need to figure it out. I think they're in panic mode. And then the rest of, I mean, I would say Panthers in panic mode, but it's way too late for that. Smell you later. Lions, I love them. I love what they're building. I think they have a lot of potential, but that defense is terrible. Injuries are hurting them as well. I'm going to put them in smell you later. The Bears, man, they got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Just offensively, they got to figure it out. Like Justin Fields attempting in some games like 10 pass attempts, like that's not going to do anything for you. You can't just run the ball. They got to figure it out. The Texans, another team, I think they're building stuff, but it's too late. Like they're the worst team in that division. I think it was a great win against the Jaguars, but I don't think that they have any chance of making the playoffs this year. Falcons, similar to that, like injuries are hurting them. Obviously, Patterson's out. Kyle Pitts has been hurt, but and they did get screwed over by that call against the Bucks for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that coach needs to figure out how to use his players better. I mean, you drafted Kyle Pitts in the first round, very high pick, and you're not even looking his way. And not to knock him, he's an NFL player, but I don't think Mariota can lead a team to the playoffs. So I'm putting them there. The Colts, I mean, Matt Ryan is probably about 5 years washed right now. Defense is doing good things, but Matt Ryan, like, come on, man. That's tough. Saints were kind of teetering between panic mode and smell you later. Obviously, I don't know what the situation with Jameis is, but not a lot of faith in Andy Dalton. Taysom Hill is a Swiss Army knife. Had an unreal game last week, and he's the reason they won that game. But I don't see them making the playoffs. Steelers, this is I don't know. I want to say it's the worst Steelers team I've seen in a while, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
on paper, it's really not. Like
No.
their defense is unreal. They have great receivers. They have a great running back. Their quarterback situation isn't great. I don't. It's tough because Trubisky was playing unwell. I don't like how they threw Kenny Pickett into the fire there. Um, Tough start for him. Hopefully his confidence isn't terrible after the past two games, but
Mm.
they got to figure it out. I think they're the worst team in that division. And then I hate to do it to you, Swaggy, but if your coach is turning on your own quarterback, it's smell you later for me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I like that, Shane. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Good dissection right there. Good dissection.
Thank you.
How we're gonna do this, we're gonna have Mr. Davis go next, and basically you can start from top to bottom. Teams that you want to keep, you can say why you're keeping them. Teams you want to move down, why you're moving them down. We can just do it like that. So, starting off with your Swaggy certified 1As, who stays up and who goes down?
Yeah, so I like this tier list. I think it's very accurate. I'd make a few changes though. Yeah, starting at the top, I would take the Cowboys and 49ers out, as I said. The Cowboys, you know, again, that defense is great, but they're gonna get tested this year. We've only been through 5 weeks, so we really haven't seen them in tight division battles on the road, things like that. So they still have a lot to prove in my eyes. They don't have a quarterback who's ever been to the playoffs. So it's not a great situation to say that they're certified yet. I like the flirting with the top tiers a lot. I think everybody in there is a good team, and I'm glad you brought the Bengals back in because the Bengals impressed me against the Ravens. I thought their defense played really well. Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow. They didn't have T. Higgins, and they still made some stuff shake on the road and on a Sunday night. So that was impressive to me. Almost pulled one off, had the lead with 2 minutes left. So Bengals are a good team. It's sad that the Dolphins are all the way down in panic mode because I wanted to put them flirting with the top, if not certified, after they beat the Bills. And they looked great, beating the Ravens, beating the Bills, whatever. So they were at the tippy top, in my opinion. It's sad, but they are in panic mode down there. So yeah, I like your list. Let's see, barely in the mix. Who did I want to take? Oh, I wanted to put the Packers in the barely in the mix. I don't think that the Vikings are. You can't even say, even at 4-1, I don't think you can say they're clear-cut favorites with Kirk Cousins at the helm. He's just so shaky. He's so shaky, in my opinion, in pressure situations. So I can't say from my heart that they're gonna win their division and really be something to mess with. I always got to go with A-Rod late in the season. So the Packers could maybe win their division, possibly get a wild card, and work their way up to that flirting with the top tiers. And then who was on a smell ya? I actually don't think the Falcons are terrible. They might be in panic mode, but I don't think they're in smell ya quite yet. So I would move them up to panic mode. But outside of that, yeah, all those teams at the bottom I think are out. Yeah, Rams look bad. Yeah, I think that's my list right there.
Okay. I see. I feel you there. I feel you there. I like that point you also made with the Vikings, like especially with Aaron Rodgers late in a season, like you're putting your money on him, no doubt about it. And it is crazy to say you see the Vikings winning that division because that's rare. But to kind of dilly-dally into what my tier list is looking like. Starting at the top, I think that's self-explanatory. Those are the top threes right there. Bills, Eagles, Chiefs. I see them as 1 seed certified, no doubt about it. Me personally, and this might shock a lot of people, but despite the injuries they've had and the situation they have at quarterback, I'm still putting the Dolphins flirting with the top tiers, me personally. I still have them in there because despite the injury, if it wasn't for the injuries, we'd be talking about them as a Swaggy certified 1A. So I feel like Mike McDaniel, he's shown a lot. I think he's a good coach, and he'll be there for a while. I think so personally, and I think he's gonna find ways, whether it's through waiver, whether it's through different play calling, he's gonna find a way to keep them afloat for when people start getting back healthy. Which is why I'm putting them personally in the flirting with the top tiers. A team I have to move out though, and I do hear you, Shane, after your argument as far as their record goes, I hear you, but I gotta put the Raiders down in panic mode if Zoom will allow me to do so. It's giving me every single. I'll have to just edit this out.
I got you.
Thank you. Raiders, I had to put in panic mode. Like Shaner said, they had a very close game with the Chiefs to the point where when I remember last week when some of you guys were picking them to win the game, I was like, dang, they certainly saw something I didn't see. You know what I'm saying? As far as picking them, I didn't really expect that game to be close, but it was, and it came down to the very end. And they're a couple of plays away from having a much better record, but I feel like despite the disappointment that division has been, it's going to be hard to get a top spot in that division. And starting off 1-4 isn't benefiting them, which is why I got to put them in panic mode. Another team I'm going to have to move down. I'm sorry, the Cardinals. I got to move them down into barely in the mix. They were close against the Eagles, but I think me personally, despite them not having D-Hop, I expected them to look better than what they have been so far through this season, to the point where luckily, even though they lost to the Rams, them still playing poorly, having the same record, they're still in the mix, basically, if that makes sense, which is why I'm putting them there. But they could turn it around. I would love to see him turn around. I want to see Kyler shine, but they gotta, once D-Hop gets in there, I think it'll help them out for sure. Another team I gotta move down, respectfully though, is the Browns. I gotta move them down. I want to put them back barely in the mix. Like Shaner said, Jacoby is doing all he can. Nick Chubb is going crazy, berserk. And they'll only get better when D Watson gets into the mix, which will help them out big time. But I think for right now, I don't really see them as a flirt with the top tiers right now. I'll have to put them down and barely in the mix. I like everything else as far as flirting with top tiers go.
Do we think the Chargers are not flirting with the top tiers?
I do. Yeah, I'm moving them up. I'm moving them up.
Yeah, I'm thinking sitting at 3-2.
I move them up. On my personal list, I have them flirting with top tiers. I move them up. I'd move them up. I think, like, on paper, they have one of the best rosters in the league. They haven't been playing like that though. I think when losing Bosa is a huge hit, but you still got Khalil Mack. I don't think JC Jackson, Mr. INT, has been playing up to par so far. I think he'll turn that around. And Herbert, like he had his injury, the rib injury, but it's just not clean. They're not playing as clean as I thought they would. But this, with the Raiders and the Broncos playing like they are, I think they could still get a wild card spot. The Chiefs, like Shaner said, I think the Chiefs had the division hands down. They're not going to fold that one. They're not going to sell that. But I do see Chargers as a flirting with top tier team, no doubt about it. A team that might get mixed opinions from me moving up, but I personally want to put the Rams in barely in the mix, only because of the fact that they're still leading their division. They're leading their division right now at 2-3. Say with that what you will, but they could still win out. They could still certify themselves a playoff spot if they win out that division. It won't be easy, but I want to move them up because of that reason. But
They're
turn it
in
around.
second, I think, right?
Are they?
Yeah, 49ers 3-2.
Oh, that's on me.
No, you're good.
I did that wrong. I did that 100% wrong. Well, then it could be up for grabs as far as barely in the mix in panic mode. I thought they were the lead of that division. That's a mistake. So that could be a toss up then. That could definitely be a toss up between barely and panic mode. No doubt about it. Let me see. I have a lot of teams. I think I was generous as far as like the panic mode section because like for example, I'm moving the Colts up here. I would move the Saints up here. I would put the Lions up here, and I will put the Bears up here. Reason being, starting with the Lions, like Shaner said, they've had a fiery offense so far, but their defense hasn't been that good. Do I see them as a playoff team figuring out late in the season to be a playoff team? No, but I don't see them as a smell you later category as far as like rock bottom. I don't see them as rock bottom right now, despite their 1-4 record. I still think they can find ways to be a 500 team, which is why I put them in panic mode. Falcons kind of the same thing. Not to keep piggybacking on what Shaner said, but he made great points tonight. Like you draft Kyle Pitts where you draft him, you got to find a way to get him the ball. You do lose Slide Rid to the late night parlay, but you still have some weapons on that team that you can get the rock to. They could potentially become a 500 team with Mariota. See how it goes for them. Colts, I put in panic mode, not smell you later, just because I think just like the Broncos, they're the definition of panic mode right now. You bring over who you bring over in Matty Ice. You say that you're a quarterback away as far as the rest of the roster goes. They have lost some pretty critical injuries as far as Jonathan Taylor and Shaquille Leonard, who are two of the top players on their respective sides of the ball. But there's no doubt in my mind that they expected them to be 2-1 going into week 6, which is why I put them in panic mode, not necessarily in smell you, because the Titans do have it going as far as that division goes. They got it going on, but the Colts can still compete in that division. So that's why I kind of put them. If they can get a couple of games, stack a couple of dubs, they can move themselves into barely in the mix. I like that. Shout out to Chi, but I gotta move. I miss this team. The Seahawks in panic mode. Respectively, Gino's been doing his thing. He has, but they're 2-3. Like, you would hope they could have got one more win at this point, but at the same time, you could say that they've exceeded all expectations going into this season because you thought they were going to go be straight into a rebuild season. They're proving a lot of doubters wrong, but I don't want to necessarily put them barely in the mix just yet, but not yet. Yeah. Smart as far as smell you later goes, those were the 4 teams I put down at the bottom. Panthers, they just recently fired their head coach, so they're going into pretty much a rebuild now, if I say so myself. Like
and
their
D coordinator, and they're looking to ship players as well. So yeah, they're full.
Oh yeah, smell you, certified smell you later, no doubt about that. Texans, they just got into shoot, that's to bring up another point. The Jags, I need to move into panic mode. If they had not just lost to the Texans, I would have kept them in barely in the mix. But because of the fact that they just lost to the Texans, who I see as the smell you later tier, they're in panic mode. You got to win that game if you want to consider yourselves competitors, you know? Texans, Damian Pierce is starting to show why fantasy owners drafted him. He's a toter. I think he had 17 forced missed tackles last week, which was number 1 in the NFL. Absolutely insane, toting.
The Texans may be up in that panic mode.
You think so?
I mean, they tied the Colts. You put the Colts up there. They beat the Jags. You put the Jags up there. You can't. I don't know. I don't think they're as bad. They're not as stinky as those other 3 teams.
I hear you. Maybe we could put them on the verge. I think there's a lot of teams I think we could put on the verge. Like I think the Rams are right kind of in the middle like that as well.
Like Panthers, Steelers, Commanders are not good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, they're almost in a clean house,
Yeah,
fire everybody situation.
I agree. I
Whereas
agree.
the Texans aren't quite there yet. Like they do some good things. They have some hope.
I
But
hear that. I hear that.
the Panthers, Steelers, Commanders are nothing but down.
Yeah. Two points I wanted to make. One, just the way I looked at it, barely in the mix and panic mode. I put a lot of teams in barely in the mix that I think, as you alluded to before, are exceeding expectations. Whether it be like the Jets, for example, exceeding expectations, or the Jags in there exceeding expectations, the Seahawks. And for panic mode, I put a lot of teams that haven't lived up to the hype, which is why I had teams like the Rams, the Broncos, teams in there that we were expecting to be, I wouldn't say Super Bowl contenders, but I mean the Rams coming off of a Super Bowl themselves, like
Mm-hmm.
being 2-3, looking as bad as they do. That's why, I mean, they still have a chance to make the playoffs 100%, but that's why I put them in panic mode. And even the Dolphins, just relative to the injuries they have right now, I think in this moment they're in panic mode.
I hear you. I hear
And
you.
then second point, kind of unrelated to this, but has to do with a lot of teams and a lot of games, whether it be a team like the Chargers or a team like the Ravens, or even Monday Night Football, a team like the Raiders. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, but I do not understand these analytics at all. Like that Raiders game, they say, oh, we have the momentum right now. It's 30-29. Instead of tying the game and making the Chiefs go down the field and beating us with 5 minutes left, we still have
Right.
all three of our timeouts. Let's go for two, put us in a deficit because we didn't get it. And now they can just run the clock and we still have to go down and try to score, as opposed to even having a chance to go into overtime or just winning if you get the stops. Like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that made no sense to me, that game. And then Harbaugh, it was funny because people were pissed at Harbaugh for
Mhm.
this time he took the points, and last
Yeah.
week he didn't. And people were pissed because they went down and took the lead. So you really can't go make a right answer in that situation. But like, yeah, the Raiders, that made no sense to me. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
were
didn't
thinking
understand.
that I heard like the announcers were saying like they had the defense on their heels, so it was kind of time to like sneak the lead. But that's I don't know. I think you just kick the extra point and
Yeah.
live another day.
Yeah. To Shaner's point, there was like 5 minutes left in the game, which is
Yeah.
why I just feel like they should have just like, despite how good the Chiefs are and how good Pat is in late time minutes, they would have got the ball back. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they ended up getting the stop too.
Right. Exactly.
They
Yeah.
got the ball.
That was not a smart decision. Not a smart decision. And it costed them. Some calls, some flags didn't go their way, could argue,
Mhm.
but definitely unfortunate. You think about the Chargers last year, Staley, he used analytics on a lot of his calls and he bit the bullet on those. It's a new era. Coach Riverboat Ron be talking about analytics all the time, and clearly it wasn't working in our favor. I think we were like 1 for 11 on third down last week, which is just atrocious, absolutely atrocious. But
I don't know. I feel like personally, you should like as a coach, you should go with your gut and go with how the game's going. Like I feel like there's so much with the analytics that aren't relevant. Like they'll say like right now they have like a 70% chance to win. And it's like, all right, well, they're kicking off. So like what if the dude runs it back? Then what? And now you're down. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like it's just one play, you're 70%. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I saw a funny tweet. It was like some of these coaches, if the analytics said jump out of the building instead of taking the stairs because it's faster, they would.
Yeah, right.
straight up though, straight as sad as it sounds, it's insane, bro. It's insane. a lot of teams biting a bullet off of it, man. Not just like, I don't know. What are we to say? Because I feel like you just think of what you would do on Madden, but it's a totally
Mhm.
different lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm going for it on 4th and 20 on my own 10-yard line.
Yeah, like I think they're putting in a little bit too much input off the joysticks. But
Mhm.
I don't know how long we've gone. I think it might have been like we're like at an hour. I mean, like, if you guys want to go with predictions, we can. If not, I could post this video and then post on Instagram like illustrations of our predictions for the week, like tomorrow. It's up to y'all. I would rather us kind of do that so this isn't that long. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm good with that. I got to do homework.
All right. You feel like you got this was good enough? Like, is there any more like notes you want to get off? I can introduce like a little last minute, like off your chest type deal, or we can just close it up. It's up to y'all.
Doesn't really matter. How do you want to go about predictions then? Just send them to you or?
Yeah, I was thinking if you guys send them to me, I'll make like on Adobe Illustrator or something like that, like your picks, and then I'll post them on Instagram, like slideshow those while also saying, hey, by the way, our video is the tier list. Here are our predictions going into week 6. Go
Mhm.
check out the vid. I was thinking we could. I was thinking we could do it like that, depending on how long it's taking, and I think we're already at like an hour, so we
Yeah,
could just drop it.
whatever's fine with me. I don't care.
Cool, cool. Well, guys. We think we're gonna chop it right here. Call it a podcast. We got a lot of good talk. As far as this tier list goes, we pretty much gave input about every single team, where we think they stand right now going into week 6. What you guys are going to need to do for us, though, is check out on our Instagram page our predictions going into week 6. We're going to post those right there, along with the link in the bio to go check out this top tier list. Let us know in the comment section. Leave a like, leave a comment on who you think had the best tier list. Which teams would you move in which spot and why? Let us know. We really, really appreciate it. We appreciate all the love. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, show love to all the socials. Until next time, another episode of the Swaggy Sports Podcast. Thank you. Peace out.